Hey, what's up, guys? Frank here with Team D-Boyz Infinity. I'm here with Brian. What did you just do?
I went 8-0 and won the Tuscaloosa regional. So with Pendulum Magicians. So I have my deck profile here. Obviously, as I said, there were going to be some changes from the last list, and I mentioned the regional as well. But just to hop right in, I guess we have 3 Astrograph Sorcerer. Obviously, staple, this card needs to go to 1. The fact that this card, because even at 1 the deck's playable, it's very good, but at 3 it's like broken. Like being able to dump multiples with Electromite is like stupid, and then start looping them. 3 Chronograph, just a good starter card, obviously next to Astro. For the Magician component, play 3 Harmonizing, obviously best one. Some people forget that this is a level 4 tuner, and you can make really broken synchros with it. I think because I think some of my choices in the main and extra deck that were different helped this deck perform better than the standard Magician deck, like the going first, turbo, 4 negates, no hand traps, all of that. But for the rest of the Magicians, 3 Black Fang, obviously, and 3 Purple Poison. And then the 2 Oath, and 1 each of these. Thank God. I think luck was a little bit on my side. I did not see these as often as I usually do. And when I did, they weren't terrible. Like I had P-Call to pitch this guy. I think when I had this guy, I was in a really like simplified game state, so I normaled him and like hit over an effect Veiler. It was like one of those games. So they weren't too terrible when I actually saw them at least. For the rest of the monsters, the Supreme King engine, obviously, this is like the best engine, I think. The 2 Dark Worm, or the 3 Dark Worm and the 2-0. I think you need to play 2 because you need to pop the 1 to search like another one off Electromite to get 7s. That's very important. And then, of course, like I said, I'd play these. The Mythical Beast, 3 Master Cerberus, and then 2 Jackal King. I don't think you need more than this. And it's relevant to pop like this card and search a second as well. So off of Astrograph. So that's a thing. But a lot of times I actually did side one of these out because you don't always need the second one. And sometimes you'll need certain side cards more. So if I needed to side out engine pieces, this would often times come out. And then the last monsters, people told me I was crazy for playing this. 3 Ash and 3 Ogre. Called by the Grave just became legal at the event, like right before we went, and even then, people were not playing magicians, like hand traps and magicians. I was like, but they're good. My deck is already better than yours. My ceiling's higher, and so if I play these to stop you, then you can't play, and I still can. You know, even if I draw these, they're not bricks. They're defensive cards. Like, where are your defensive cards? I get you pack your extra deck with like 4 negates, but negation isn't the only form of defense, and I think people are kind of losing sight on that because I value the extra deck spots for more utility cards, and I'll talk about that as well. But these cards were insane all day. They also helped with my siding pattern too. But for the spells, I played 2 P-Call. Card's really good. Gets your Magician engine going. Gets to Harmonizing, which is really important. 2 Desires, staple. And then 1 Shrine and 1 Foolish to round out the main deck. Onto the side or extra, let's see. We'll go into the extra first. Tokens. 2 Electromites for the Lynx. Obviously, this card's like kind of. Strangely enough, I didn't always make this either. There were some matches where I didn't actually make this at all. But yeah, you usually want to go for it because it just makes your wins so much easier. But even without this card, you can still win the game. At least if you're not heavily relying on it, like some of the turbo builds are. And then for the other links, I played Borreload, Insane against Masterpiece. There was a lot of True Draco at the event, I noticed. I think that might have been the most heavily represented deck there. Honestly, just looking around, I did see a fair more amount of that than everything else. And then Metaltron, obviously for the Link 3. And that's all you need there. For the Xyz, I played Harbinger, Absolute, Time Star. I actually never made him, but I think he's pretty good for like the Black Fang loops. You can like make him get a guy engrave that was a material, and then like start popping Black Fang with Electromite and looping Astro again. Like that's a really good play. This card was MVP. This was the clutchest thing all day. I made this card a ton. Against Draco, outing the field spell, against the mirror, against floodgates, like whatever. It was crazy. This card was also pretty good. I think these two are like the best rank 4s right now to be playing. And then that's it for the Xyz. I didn't play Naruto. There was one situation where I could have made it, but it didn't really matter. I had 2 6s on field. I was like, or Naruto, but I already had game, so like it wasn't like a really relevant interaction. This card I don't think came up yesterday. Yeah, I don't think I made it, but it does come up, and I came up in testing. It does come up, so it's important. This card was insane. This card was insane. I'll get into this in my matchups, but you can't play like bricky stuff like Regeki. So you play Regeki in your extra deck. Like you should always be playing some kind of like crazy board wipe, and like some people play this too, but I've seen a lot of people cutting these 2 cards. And then Omega was really good as well. I made this a lot turn 1 because my deck isn't quite as explosive. So I may have had like Harbinger and Vortex, and then I'd put this out. And this card's also really good for its other effect to put targets for Black Fang into the graveyard from your Banish Zone. So whatever you brought out off of Harmonizing to make this, you can put it back. So that's the synchros. I think the big 3 there is staple. And then for the fusions, 2 Starving Venom. This was crazy too. There was this one game I didn't even make Electromite. I made 2 of these, and it was nuts. It was against 60 cards. I copied Conductor Tyranno and Scarlight in time. So, and then Vortex, obviously. The side deck, 3 Chaos Hunter. Since I'm playing the hand traps in the main, I wanted to play like kind of hand trap packages to side into as well. This card was like stupid against Tricksters. I opened it in game 2 and just blew him out. He couldn't do anything. He buried me. I just pendulum something in this because he in special turn 1. I was like, oh, I can't drop this. And he had like double reincarnation set, so he could not play. Like he was screwed. So that card was good. I also sided this in against the 60 card deck, and I would have sided it maybe against Invoked, but I didn't play Invoked at the tournament. But against the 60 card deck, going first, this card is pretty decent because you can just pendulum summon it to Floodgate. But going second, it's honestly terrible. You don't want to use it as a hand trap against that deck. Cherries, just for the mirror. This won me my round 7 match. I cherried him. Yeah. I don't know. Cyclone. This card was clutch against Draco, obviously. Hitting the continuous cards, the floodgates. It was better than the hand traps, honestly. I often sided out Ghost Ogre for this because, which is strange because Ogre's good against Diagram, but if I wanted a hand trap, I wanted to be able to Ash like a Desires or a Demise because those cards are insane. Whereas like this could hit like Diagram as well. That's another thing it can do. But Ghost Ogre just isn't like super great because of the rock. Yeah, that card, like the hand traps themselves, I just found were like not optimal when I was playtesting. So I oftentimes just like sided them out, and like Ash would probably be the only one to stay in just because it's like really insane. But other than that, like that card was clutch. 3D barrier, this was good against the mirror. It won me a match. Game 3, I think, and then 3 evenly insane against Draco. Set all their stuff off Demise, just hit them. Card's great. So on to my matchups. Round 1, I played like a 60 card Fluffle Shadal deck. He bricked, I think, the one game. I 2-0'd him. The first game he bricked. He opened like Garnet and like really bad cards. And then the second game, he played better, but he never really like saw grass or like saw any like super like power plays like Predator plants or anything. So yeah, round 2 I played against Draco. I actually played my friend, and he ended up coming in second. That was the funny part. But yeah, so I played against him. I lost the first game. I actually had to win the next two. Evenly matched, won me game 2. Yeah, game 3. Yeah, game 3. I blew him out in game 3, and with that, so that was pretty nuts. But yeah, Cyclone was also insane to stop an anti-spell in game 3. I chained it in the standby phase, and then I evenly his field. So my side cards were like perfect there. Round 3, I remember these all because 2, 3, and 4, I lost the first game, and I had to win the last 2. So round 3, I played against the Mirror. Round 4, I played against the 60 card deck. He opened Grass game 1, so I obviously just like lost, even though I had Dweller. Yeah, he opened Grass and then left arm for Pill and made Conductor and like killed my field. And so game 2, we got into game 2. We were I got to start and I opened like my broken field, and he opened Garnet and Cobra and Wolf, I think. So game 2, like I won easily, and then game 3 was actually like really interesting. I wasn't sure. I had to take the Chaos Hunters out. I wasn't sure what to put in because Ghost Ogre is just not good, and so I was thinking between like evenly matched because it's kind of like generically good, or I could use Cherries and like maybe hit Omega because I know the deck does rely pretty heavily on Omega. But so I decided on the Cherries, and I actually did on turn 1 open Cherries, hit Omega, and when he was doing his zombie plays. And he ended up settling on like Tornado Dragon, and we got into like a grind game because his hand wasn't the greatest, and like mine also wasn't, so it was kind of like back and forth, and we were in time. And his Tornado Dragon, eventually I was able to push through it because it ran out of materials. But I also made Supreme King Starving Venom to copy his Conductor Tyranno, and his Scarlet as well. So I ended up going through both of them in that match. And so yeah, but the key I think also was in the end at the grind game, cherrying the Omega. He still didn't like have an Omega floating around, and the Tornado Dragon got used up. So like Omega can get out of play and can dodge that, but he didn't have it. So round 5, I played against. Trickstar? Yeah, it was Trickstar. That's what it was. Yeah, I played Draco in round 6. Round 5, I played Trickstar, and at this point, I was like, okay, I hadn't won past like round. Like usually, I've started off regionals 4-0, but I usually lose in round 5. Like even when I start poorly, I lose in round 5. Like round 5 has never been a good round for me. And I sat down, I was playing Trickstars, and like piece of cake, Chaos Hunter. I 2-0'd him. Then round 7, I played against Draco, and I ended up beating him evenly matched. Cyclone, Ghost Ogre was actually pretty good in game 1 as well before I sided it out. But Boral Load as well. I don't think he expected the Boral Load. He's like, oh, you play him. I'm like, yeah. And so I took his Masterpiece, but or I ran over his Masterpiece, and but yeah, so then round 7, I played against the Mirror. I was going to play against the Mirror. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good because I just 2-0'd like my last 2 rounds, and like that was crazy. So it was like, all right, we got 2 more rounds left. Let's win this. Like I came here to top 8, but let's win this whole event. And so round 7, I came against the Mirror. The other guy was undefeated. Game 1. I went first, and I won the die roll, and I opened a pretty strong board. He couldn't play through it. Ghost Ogre came in clutch on his Electromite. And then game 2, he went first, and he was playing like the turbo build. And so I sided in cherries to get rid of his electromite. And so I opened cherries and hit him with it, and the game went on for a little bit longer because I had a dark worm in scale as opposed to an 8 scale. I didn't have access to an 8 scale as my high scale. And a lot of my monsters that were in play were like higher level monsters, so I couldn't like totally take the game. And he ended up drawing into Black Fang, and he was able to like mount a comeback with a Starving Venom to copy my Electromite, and he got 5 monsters on field. And so I was like, damn, even after cherries, like I'm actually going to lose this because like my hand just wasn't good enough. Like to like I can't put all of my monsters in play, and I dropped this guy right here to block the last attack, and I was still in the game with 400 life points, and I top decked into Desires because I needed harmonizing. I had a skill. I was like, if I make Clear Wing, I can Regeki his field and attack. And I drew Desires, and I drew Harmonizing and P-Call. So I traded out the P-Call and one of my Magicians for 2 more Magicians, and then I just Pendulum Summoned, Harmonizing, made Clear Wing, and then attacked for game. So that was crazy. At that point, I was like, I'm going to win now. It's round 8. It's time to do this. And I came up against Spirals. Game 1, I got the start because he won the die roll, but he let me go first. And so, I think, no, I did win the die roll, so I did get the start. So I knew what he was playing because he'd been sitting next to me the round before. So he tried to play through like my field, and he didn't have enough. I had Ghost Ogre for Resort. I think he opened Resort both games actually, strangely enough, or some way in the Resort like Terra in the second game, but. Yeah, he couldn't quite play through it. My Omega sniped is 1-for-1 too that I made on turn 1. I like the Vortex, Harbinger, and the Omega. So I Omega'd that, and then I Ghost Ogre'd his Resort, and he had Called by the Grave for that. So he was able to like play through, but eventually he couldn't field a board, and then I just attacked him on the next turn. And then the game 2, I wasn't sure. Because since I had won the die roll and I'd picked to go first, I wasn't sure which way he was playing Spirals, because you could play both. And so it turns out I sided to go second with Evenly Matched, and I left my hand traps in. And he decided to go second as well. So I went first, and I opened Master Cerberus, 2 Evenly Matched, Ghost Ogre, and Ash Blossom. So it's like, oh, I opened all my good going second cards and like 1 good card. So I put the Master Cerberus on the field and passed. And I didn't want to commit anything else really to the field because of the Evenly Matched. I figured the hand traps could protect me. So he goes Resort, and I use Ogre, and he had Gamma. So I ashed the Gamma because like the game state is not good enough for an Omega to hit the field. Like I had to take another minus to stay in this game, and so he ended up trying to play through my guy, but when his spells would resolve, he got counters, so Master Cerberus couldn't be destroyed. So we played like back and forth. He set like D barrier, I think, to stop one of my Electromite combos. Oh, I know what it was. That was later. He had Sleeper. He ended up being able to field Sleeper after like another turn of back and forth. And because he was setting like hand traps so he wouldn't get hit, and he was able to finally field Sleeper and Helix, and then Sleeper, I went to banish it with Cerberus. He popped it, and then he debarriered me, so I couldn't use my chronograph. So we kept going for another turn, and then like finally I was just able to break through. I drew P-Call to pitch the other Evenly Matched, and was able to take the game. And it was insane. I was so excited. So yeah, that's it. I won the Tuscaloosa Regional 8-0. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching and for all the support you guys have given me throughout the years, the past like 2 years. Yeah, it's been good, and we finally got there. So anyway, thanks for watching.